Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Angela Anderson Show, where we are helping moms live their dream while taking care of their family. I'm so excited that you are here with me today. So, let's talk a little bit about the show and how it came about. For those of you who've been listening in, you already know all of this, but maybe it's your first time listening. So, this show is a result of a virtual summit that I hosted during the summer of 2022, and that was last year for those who are tuning in 2023. But it was called Get Your Life on Track, Walk in Your Purpose. And the focus was on mothers who wanted to identify their purpose and live it fully while taking care of their families. So, for 14 days, I interviewed top influencers and speakers, and they just laid it all out. And they shared information, great tips, and it assisted mothers in finding their purpose, pursuing their goals and their dreams, all while taking care of their family. So there was such a popular demand for that type of show and that information. Well, it wasn't a show back then, it was a summit. But that's how I came to this show. So I created the talk show where I will continue to empower moms to see their value, understand their importance, and reclaim their identity. Because, if you're a mom, those are three of the things that I don't want to say struggle with, but some of the things that might be on your mind. Of course, the identity. I don't want to say it gets lost, but sometimes it does in the whole realm of motherhood. So here we are. I have a very interesting topic that I want to talk to you about today. And before I even get into that topic, I want to go to a commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk about something called quiet quitting. Quiet quitting. Be right back.
Someone once said that life is a journey. Every now and then I convince myself that I have it all figured out. All of a sudden, life throws me a curveball and I find myself between a rock and a hard place. Through it all, the pervading theme is that God is constantly pursuing me. Just when I thought I knew God, He reveals Himself to me in a different way. I now realize that His purpose is to achieve a deeper level of intimacy with me, no matter what it takes. His main concern is the end result, which is to live with Him in eternity. He loves me that much, and the same holds true for you.
Just When I Thought I Knew God, that's a devotional book that I wrote. And it is available now on Amazon, and it's also available in Kindle format. So if you haven't received a copy of that already, please go out there to Amazon and just click on it. If you got Prime, it'll be at your doorstep within a day or two. So before we left for the commercial, I told you that we were going to be talking about quiet quitting. Quiet quitting. What is quiet quitting? Now, those who have been watching this show, you know that I have a background in human resources. And in a general sense, in human resources, we study trends and we try to address certain things that we see that are happening in the workplace. And one of the things that has been a trend is quiet quitting. So, quiet quitting and we'll talk about it in depth in a moment, but just for those who've never heard of this phenomenon, it's where the employee doesn't hand in the resignation letter, doesn't storm out of the office and say, I quit, right? There's no indication that this person is going to leave per se, but the person kind of just detaches themselves and does bare minimum, kind of just does enough to get by, to get the job done, sort of. And that's what we call quiet quitting. So they just kind of stop doing the work that they used to do. So there's a couple perspectives on this quiet quitting. So from the employer's perspective, and keep in mind, as an HR person, right? You have to see it from both sides. You know, you are working to help the employer make sure the company is running as it's supposed to be running and running well. And you're also there for the employees to make sure that the company is running well in terms of the employee perspective, that it's a place, it's an environment that the employee wants to stay in, to grow in. And so we just have to create this and foster a happy work environment for both sides. So, with that being said, quiet quitting from the employer's perspective, the employee is disengaged. They're doing less and they're still getting paid. This is from the employer's perspective, okay? Um, and the employee is mentally checking out, according to the employer, and they're checking out during the day. You might see them doing other things or just not being where they're supposed to be. Okay, they're refusing to work later hours, no overtime, nothing. Don't even ask, right? Because the answer is going to be no. They're going to say no to the boss. They're not going to volunteer for any projects. They're not going to say, hey, I'll do that task or load up these tasks on me. I'll do it. I'm your person. Because no, they're not. They're quiet quitting. Okay. So this can be a little tricky for a company. Think about it that way. That's going to affect productivity. It's going to eventually affect the bottom line, right? Profits, losses. A company cannot survive without its workers. A company cannot survive without its employees. So what do we do here? The employee is quiet quitting. So look at it now from the employee's perspective, quiet quitting. From the employee's perspective, they're making some positive decisions for their lives. They're introducing a healthy perspective between work life and home life and just personal work and personal, right? They're setting limits for themselves. Okay, they're refusing to take on the workplace demands. You know, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, stop treating me like I'm just here to do all the work and not get recognized for it or not get paid for it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to go above and beyond, right? And they're generally doing less work. Huh. So who's right here? Who's right in this situation? You know, the employer, they need the employees. I mean, what about my productivity? What about the customers we're trying to serve? What about the whole organization? And from the employee's perspective, what about me though? You know, what about my mental health? What about my well-being? What about just my life? Does anybody care about that? You know? So, you know, it's one of those things where you have to look at it as, okay, well, as I said in HR, you kind of have to come up with a happy medium, right? So maybe you look at the boss. Not that you're blaming your boss, by the way, but is the boss too rigid? Is the boss too by the book? And is the boss micromanaging? Is the boss making it miserable for you to be where you are? Or is it the opposite? Is the boss a little bit too lenient and doesn't really care either way? And they're not trying to lay down any type of law and just let people do whatever they want to do. So there's some things that you have to consider there. But quiet quitters, they kind of stick around because they feel like they need to, but they're not all in, right? This is something that became very prevalent for those who have followed this trend or they've seen it. Because let's face it, everybody knows a quiet quitter, whether it's you or you might know somebody who's a quiet quitter, but everybody knows a quiet quitter, right? So it's something that came about, or they saw it in full effect after COVID. Now we're about 3 years out from COVID. If you remember, COVID was 2020, stuff was shutting down. There was a lot of remote work that was introduced. Some of us are still benefiting from the remote work, me being one of those people. And so we realize we can do our jobs from home and do it well. But, you know, once COVID, and back then we really didn't know how long it was going to last. Was that the new normal, as they say? Another buzzword was, is this something that's going to pass? But it's hard to believe that life was how it was back then, because, it's gotten away from that. However, it has taken its toll on a lot of us, our mindset, and the way we behave, the way we act. Um, but I digress. So, quiet quitters, they've gotten to a point where work has lost its meaning. Work has lost its meaning. And you have to wonder, when you're doing a job and it's lost its meaning, you you've now lost focus on your why. What is your why? Why are you there? Right? And there's just this overall lack of enthusiasm for what you once knew as something that was going to be great and something that you were excited to do. And now it's almost like someone has popped your, burst your bubble, so to speak. You're feeling deflated. You're feeling less energetic, and you're kind of dragging yourself. And quite frankly, nobody wants to drag themselves to a job that they don't want to be there. That's miserable. It's miserable. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are in that situation. And they're just there, as I said before, because they need to. They just want to make a buck. So I'm just going to do my thing, do bare minimum, and then just coast, see what happens, and then just leave for the day, come back tomorrow and do the same thing. And we'll see how that goes. So, quiet quitting is, when you think about it, just kind of sad in a way where it's almost like people have either lost hope, they've lost meaning, they have lost something, and it's you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So, what I've noticed with quiet quitting, this is not just something that happens at work. Quiet quitting is prevalent in a lot of things. Let's talk about relationships. So, yes, there's the romantic relationships. For those of you who are in the dating scene, has anyone ever quiet quit on you? Let's just say, or have you quiet quit on someone? You don't want to talk to the person anymore. So instead of handing in your resignation letter, instead of going to the person and saying, hey, this is not working out, instead of saying, I quit, because, that takes a lot of courage. You just kind of ghost the person. You just kind of back away, don't answer phone calls, text messages, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. Some of you who are in the dating scene know what I'm talking about. Some of you can remember the dating scene. You might have experienced that. And don't get me wrong, not everyone does that. Some people go right to the person and say this, this, this. And it also happens in platonic relationships, friendships. And quite frankly, it's not the best feeling to be on the receiving end of that, instead of someone coming to you and saying, well, I'm not feeling this right now. I'm not feeling you right now. And they just gradually phase you out. Where once um, you all were close, and now not so much. And the bad part of that, it's like you're powerless. There's really nothing you can do about it except to go on, with life as you know it. But you know, regardless of um, how that happens, whether it's relationships, whether it's the workplace, what resonates most with me, and this is why I wanted to do a show on this, for the moms out there. A lot of us, unfortunately, are quiet quitting in our homes. Now, motherhood gets very strenuous. We all know this, and that's something that we can all share, empathize with one another. All of us have different situations in our home life. We may have um, different amount of kids. Our kids might be different ages. The fact is, you're a mom, and that takes its toll on you. And there are times, and please don't get me wrong, there are times when you have to take a moment, take some personal time in the workplace, right? PTO, PDO, whatever you call it, right? Take a couple days and remove yourself from the environment in order to reset. And we've talked about that in earlier episodes on the Angela Anderson show, right? That's okay, right? We're talking about not just mental health and well being and finding quiet time, but this type of quiet quitting is different than that. We talked about the definition of it, whereas you've lost your meaning, you've lost your why, and you're going through life as a mom, and you are just going through the motions, day in, day out. And you can fill in the blank because all of us have a routine. And then if you have a job on top of that, and then of course the stay-at-home moms, that's a another routine. But as a mom, day in, day out, we do these things, and after a while, it's quite possible that it loses its meaning, and we lose our enthusiasm, and then we start to feel some kind of way about the whole concept of motherhood, when in fact it is a wonderful thing. Um, it is wonderful because we are moms, and we have children, and we get to watch them grow and raise them, and to have a full impact on their lives, and to watch them blossom into their purpose and what they're supposed to be. So, that in itself is just an amazing thing. But why is it that sometimes we find it mundane? Or why do we feel like something might be missing? What is that void that we might be feeling? Now, a few moments ago, I talked about the whole, purpose of HR, and, identifying trends and situations, and things that might be happening in the workplace. And part of that is trying to solve it. What is the solution to quiet quitting? Now, there are many articles out there, there are many studies that have been done on this quiet quitting. Again, it's something that was recognized after COVID. And as I said, we're what, 3 years into it, or away from it, I should say. But one of the things that they said that is so meaningful to me The way to combat quiet quitting is to find your passion so that you're not just showing up in the workplace just to make a quick buck, right? They're saying, "Hey people, if you're going to be in the workplace, find a job that you like." So that way you'll be happy that you're there and you will be all in, right? And then it won't be an issue for you, it won't be an issue for the employer either. And so I say to you, for the moms out there, are you feeling that void? Are you feeling bored? Are you wondering, what am I doing here? Why am I even on this earth? What is my purpose? And we've talked about purpose in previous episodes as well. But I would challenge you to find your passion and to live it out so that you're not just showing up in life, in your home, to your kids, to your spouse, if you have a spouse, to your family. You're not just halfway there or mentally checking out or like you're punching a clock and, oh, I can't wait till this is over. And so I can just, I guess, have to show up the next day doing it. Find your passion and you will be all in. Find your purpose and you will be never bored, not one day in your life. And with motherhood, that's one of the most important things we need to do. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our children who are looking up to us, and they take a lot out of us. But in order for us to be at full capacity, we ourselves have to be all in. And how do we do that? By living our dream. And so if you're wondering, man, I started writing a book, but I just stopped. I started a business, but I was happy when I started and I got excited thinking about the whole possibility and what it could be. But then somewhere in the middle, um, it just got a little challenging. I ran out of money. But these dreams that you have, these goals that you have, they weren't meant for you to stop. And that's quite possibly why you're feeling the way you're feeling, why you are quiet quitting. Pick up that dream, pick up that goal, and keep going with it. Find a way to get to the next step. Sometimes you may think, oh, but I need money. Sometimes there are ways to do it without money, and the money will come later. Sometimes there are steps you can take to just get to the next level, or another door will open for you to put you in the right direction and in that path. I'm saying it because I've experienced that. And so, whatever that is in your heart that's burning that desire, don't ignore it. There's a reason why you feel like there's so much more I need to do, because there is. There is so much more that you need to do. And so go for it. Now, some of you know that I am a life coach for moms. And as I said in the introduction, I empower moms to identify their purpose and live it fully while they're taking care of their family. And, one of the things that we can all say that we, as a mom, I should say, what ties us all together is the fact that we all have had this experience together, and we know what it entails and what how challenging it can be. Like, we can just share a story and we'll all understand. Like, we can look at a meme on Instagram and we'll know exactly what it is and, and what it's about. But if you have a dream and you're not sure how to start, or maybe you started and you stopped, and you have to find a way, you want to find a way to get going, I can help you with that. Schedule a free consultation with me. It's chatwithcoachangela.com. Chatwithcoachangela.com. Once you get on there, it'll take you right to my scheduling board. And just pencil in, actually, it'll pop up on your calendar when we can have this consultation, and we'll just talk about some of the things that might be holding you back and how to overcome those obstacles and how to actually get you going to live your dream. So, those of you who have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm inviting you to do that now and share it with a friend. You'll never have to remember on your own when the Angela Anderson Show is on, which is Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Once you subscribe to my YouTube channel, just click on it and you'll be reminded, and you'll get an alert once it is up and running. And you will also be alerted if you go to Spotify and you just want the audio version of the Angela Anderson Show. Just follow on Spotify, and you will also be reminded once the Angela Anderson Show is on. So I am happy that you're here with me, and I hope that you've learned something today. And if nothing else, just the fact that don't quiet quit. And please don't quit. That dream that you have must be fulfilled, but it's up to you to take the next step. Thanks again for watching the Angela Anderson Show, and we will see you next time.